Welcome back to Root and Reach. Grab your coffee or your tea or honestly, whatever fuels you, and let's settle in for a conversation about something I see come up all the time: perfectionism in teens. Now, before we dive in, let me tell you what you'll walk away with today. By the end of this episode, you'll know why perfectionism shows up so strongly in adolescence. It's not just the personality. It's brain science and culture working together. Next, how to spot the signs so you can tell the difference between healthy striving and unhealthy pressure. And most importantly, 5 ways you can support your teen right now so you're not stuck in the middle of a tug-of-war between impossible standards and your teen's well-being. So, if you've ever wondered, is my teen just ambitious or are they stuck in perfectionism? This episode's for you. So let's start with the why. Why does perfectionism flare up so much in the teen years? Part of it is biology. Their brains are under renovation, especially this prefrontal cortex, because that's the part that handles judgment, planning, decision-making. They're also hyper aware of their peers, of how they measure up, who's watching, and that pressure feels relentless. And then you layer on our culture, which applauds the high achieving kid with the A+, the athlete who never misses. We reward the outcome, but often overlook the anxiety bubble under the surface. And underneath perfectionism is fear. Fear of failing, fear of letting people down, fear of not being enough. Girls often show it in obvious ways, in schoolwork, friendship, appearance. Boys feel it too. It might come out as overtraining in sports, obsessing over game rankings, or avoiding work altogether because it isn't perfect. And if it isn't, they'd rather not try. How can you tell if your teen's drive has tipped into perfectionism? Here are some clues. They're incredibly self-critical, beating themselves over every small mistake. They procrastinate, not because they don't care, but because if it can't be perfect, why bother starting? They think in the black or white. A B isn't pretty good. It's failure. They might over-prepare, spending hours on something that should take minutes. Maybe they fear feedback. One tiny suggestion feels like a total blow to their identity. And sometimes it shows up in their bodies. Headaches, sleepless nights, or tension before every test or game. So let's get into the good stuff. What you can do to support your perfectionist teen. The first step is to name it gently. When you notice your teen spinning their wheels, say something like, "I notice you've been working on that project for a while. Are you worried about getting it exactly right?" Just naming it brings it out of the shadows and it makes it less scary. Once you've named it, shift your praise instead of focusing on the outcome. You got an A? So focus on the effort. Try, "I saw how hard you studied," or "I love how you stuck with it even when it was tough." That shift helps them value growth and resiliency, not just shiny results. Next, let's talk about modeling imperfection. And I know this one can be uncomfortable, but your teen needs to see you mess up and survive it. Burn the dinner, forget your keys, send the wrong text, and then move on with humor. Show them that mistakes don't equal disaster. Then if your teen is the kind to overdo it, rewriting essays 5 times or practicing until midnight, help them set limits. Structure can feel surprisingly freeing. Say 2 drafts is plenty, or 30 minutes of practice, then it's time for a break. Boundaries can release them from their own inner critic. Finally, weave in self-compassion. Encourage mantras like, I'm still learning, or one mistake doesn't define me. These little reminders can soften the blow of imperfection. And if you notice perfectionism spiraling into constant stress, panic, or depression, that's the time to bring in extra support from a professional. So here's the flow to keep in mind. Name it, praise the process, model imperfections, set healthy limits, and teach self-compassion. 5 steps that can loosen perfectionism's grip and help your teen breathe again. Perfectionism isn't just about high standards. It's about a teen trying to find safety and control in a world that feels unpredictable. And your job isn't to make them stop caring, it's to remind them that they're already enough, with or without the gold star. So here is your reflection for the week. Where is your teen pushing for perfection? And how can you gently help shift them from fear towards growth? Thanks for joining me for episode 12 of Root and Reach. If this conversation hit home for you, share it with another parent who might need to hear it. And remember, connection always matters more than perfection. Oh, and before we wrap, I want you to know my new book, Parenting in the Third Stage, From Holding Hands to Holding Space, it's now available. It's 6 months of daily practical guidance to help you feel more confident, supported, and connected as you raise your teen. Think of it as having me in your pocket, cheering you on each day. You can find it through my website or wherever you buy books. And as always, keep rooting deep in your values and reaching high with your teen, because that's where real growth and real connection begin. Bye.